The Capture is a thriller. It is set in the world of police and CCTV surveillance and counter-terrorism. So we start off with Luke's favourite 3 months earlier, or 18 hours earlier, or something. I remember.
It was 8 hours, wasn't it?
It was 8 hours. And we're inside what looks like a sort of a CCTV surveillance room, and we see a scene which annoyingly gets replayed again in the correct chronological time period, which, again, I don't like either.
Yeah.
Of two people watching CCTV. One of them is watching a colleague go to the wrong chicken shop, a very South London thing to do. I can confirm. I will take Matt to a variety of chicken shops this afternoon if he wants to.
Oh, you're going to have to stay for a week with all this stuff Gary wants to do.
With all this stuff. But basically, she then observes an assault. Well, from what you gather is an assault, because you don't actually see it at this stage. Again, something I didn't really like, but it's a minor niggle. It then flashes back to a couple of different storylines. One is a newly promoted detective, female detective. Again, you have to help me with names.
Played by Holiday Granger, D.I. Rachel Carey.
She certainly is there for her looks, I feel, as well as her acting ability. And she's working as the lead detective, the SIO, in a homicide division. We later find out that as a kind of a fast-track scheme, she can't get to the upper echelons of her division until she's led a team. So she's kind of a fish out of water, but a kind of a young detective. Quite sort of youthful and
what did they call them? There was a name someone described them as, wasn't there?
Well, it was the guy. It was our mate, wasn't it? Craig Parkinson described her. No, not Craig Parkinson.
He's not in this.
Oh, it's the bloke out of The Office, isn't it?
Ralph Ineson.
That's it. Who plays the grumpy old?
He's the boss.
Yeah.
But who's the one? Who's the colleague?
Kelvin Kirkin from
Kelvin Kirkin, yeah. He's the one who's and he used something, didn't he? Like you've been fast.
He did, yeah.
Minutiae, anyway. Carry on.
Indeed. So they go to. You sort of see her showing her abilities they go to a homicide, and she manages to get on the level of a young man and get him to kind of confess or explain what he saw or what happened at a recent homicide of his brother. So you see that she's got some skills and ability. Get to a case of a convicted army soldier who was convicted by helmet cam footage of killing a ISIS soldier in Afghanistan before he'd surrendered, after he'd surrendered, or according to the helmet cam footage. Yeah. You see him first in prison, then in his appeal. You know that he's got a young daughter, he's estranged from his partner. Basically what happens from there is that he is exonerated and let out, and is immediately drawn back in by the police for a crime that he claims he didn't commit, but the video evidence, which was the video evidence shows him assaulting his barrister, again played by not an unattractive young lady. Yes. And he basically ends up back in prison, or back in police custody, and is interviewed by Holiday Granger.
Yes. Yeah.
Holiday Granger's character. And they go in quite heavy-handed because of the notoriety of him. So they send armed police in to storm his house and wake his grandfather up in the middle of the night with guns pointing at him. They do it in quite a sort of a overly brutal way.
I mean, Matt, let's start with you. What did you think?
I thought I quite enjoyed it, actually. This is from Ben Chanan, isn't it? Who did things like Cyberbully and The People Next Door for Channel 4, which were sort of drama documentaries, weren't they? And I felt like they were going for a similar style here, with the focus on the cameras. So it's like, he gets exonerated in the case because of a faulty camera, and then is convicted because of potentially another faulty camera. This feels like, the BBC almost trying to get another franchise here.
Yeah.
With Holiday Granger's character. It was like, I'm only here because I need to get this job so I can get promotion back in counter-terrorism. And it feels like maybe they will do, if this is a success, that they will do a series which focuses on a different thing to do with, like, CCTV. Obviously, she's got a history as well with the sort of CCTV division. I don't know what you would call that, with Nigel Lindsay plays like her old boss. It held my attention for the hour.
Will it hold your attention for the next 5? Is the question.
I don't know because I haven't watched the next 5.
Have you not?
I can see from the thing that Ron Perlman's going to be in the later episodes of this, Hellboy himself, but I'm not quite sure. But yeah, no, very watchable, sort of good thriller for Monday nights.
Or Tuesday nights, as it's going to be
or
on
Tuesday night.
Well, you could watch it
on a Monday. Yeah.
And I didn't think the Luke special spoiled too much for me. It's not one of those where it's sort of like a really exciting scene, because they sort of pull back. You don't see the entire thing, do you? You just like, there's something going on, and then we're going to go and see these characters, and then pull back to see exactly what Sharon Rooney is looking at, which I didn't have a big issue with.
What about you, Gary? You said you've not kept up with much since the podcast finished, and now you've previewed this. Is this one you're going to add to your list?
I quite liked this. It kind of fits that bodyguard line of duty kind of style. I really liked Holliday Granger. I do think she was good in that role, and I think believable as someone who is trying to be a climber. I thought I would be annoyed that she's having an affair with the commander, but actually it worked into the storyline okay. And I think that's the intrigue that's obviously going to play out later. My only worry about the next 5 episodes is what's going to happen next, because he's already been caught and he's in CCTV. What is the conspiracy or the thing that's going to be behind it? And the last thing I'll say is that I did get a bit of a making of a murderer sort of like link. You know, someone who had been exonerated of a crime and then immediately seemingly framed for something else. And I wonder whether the writers took some of their inspiration from a story like that. You know, what if we put someone in a situation, and as Matt said, someone who'd been framed by CCTV to be caught by CCTV, whether there was some sort of link there.
Yeah, I agree with you about the bodyguard connections and things. My issue, and it's an issue I always have, sorry, I just didn't care enough by the end. I wasn't drawn in. I don't find Holliday Granger or Callum Turner that interesting. I didn't really care for the dynamic between the two working police officers, and I just felt this was another sort of big budget action show, and those I struggle with. Where Bodyguard won me over was that opening 20 minutes where you were just absolutely hooked, and this didn't have that hook for me. I wasn't really engaged with it, and personally I won't be carrying on because I didn't care enough. I mean, it might be one where someone says, oh, the midpoint, you know, this happens or that happens, but I think it's just another big.
And then you jump on the bandwagon.
Well, no, because I think the characters were quite dead behind the eyes. I think you'd struggle to describe Holliday Granger really well, or Callum Turner really. There wasn't really anything going on there.
No, but I think they're trying to attract a younger audience than us. These are young mid-20s, early 30s actresses and actors. This is not the drama. You know, we grew up with the Line of Duties and the Silks and things like that. But I'm saying,
just so quickly, how old were you when Line of Duty started?
Well, you know
in
what I mean. You know what I mean? No, but I think they're trying to capture. They're trying to capture the Killing Eve audience. I think.
I know exactly what. Yeah.
Callum Turner is 29. Holliday Granger is 31. So you're right.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But I think they're trying to grab that audience. And that's why we're not gravitating towards the characters, because I don't think we relate to those people at all.
I think Holliday Granger, the Rachel character, was a well-defined character, as Gary said. I think you. A bit boring. I think you got what she was about. You know, she's ambitious, intelligent.
I just found her a bit dull. I think.
She doesn't show a lot of emotion. I'll give you that. She's quite robotic, but I think again that might be because of the role.
And because she's a woman in the police force.
Yeah.
Same with Vicky McClure in Line of Duty. She's emotionless.
In the office, yes.
I get what Matt's saying. It is still a completely watchable hour of television. And if someone forced me to watch it, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Very slickly
far
produced.
Worse. But I think that for me, it was just a bit too robotic.
And I suppose Ben Shannon as well worked on the second series of The Missing, didn't he? He directed the second series of The Missing, and you know what that was like. You know, The Missing didn't introduce you to all the characters straight away and all the elements. So it is hard to judge on this first episode alone.
I will keep watching, Luke, and if you want to know what's going on, just ask me.